welcome back. We are having a good time right here at the Toxic Show. We are at Oracle Television Network and we are talking about teenage pregnancy. And together with me in the studio, we have Nderitu-Wanjagi. He is the director of PDO Kenya, an organization that talks about and deals with psychiatrist disability, right?
Yes, and generally we talk about mental wellness.
All right.
Most people, when they hear the word disability, they imagine it's
physical.
Something very severe and mostly physical.
Yeah.
But we generally deal with from the small stresses of life to severe mental illness.
That is awesome.
Yes.
So now we've been talking about teenage pregnancy, something that is an issue, a big issue in our nation. And it's not something that we just gonna look at it and move on with our lives. We can't move on when we have young girls who are hurting. We can't move on when we have young babies who don't have fathers, who don't have, a tomorrow because they don't know what their tomorrow holds. Some of these young girls are even HIV positive as we talk. Because the fact that they're getting pregnant, it means they're engaging in sex unprotected.
Of course. Statistics show us that every 3 minutes, a girl gets infected with HIV.
Every 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
What are you telling me?
Yes, and girls between the age of 15 and 24 have the highest new infection rate in the country at the moment. Higher than boys their age, almost double the boys their age. So
is it like the young girls are very active sexually? Because when you talk about 15 to 24, you're telling me they're more active than the adults?
By the time they get to 19, 20, I think over 51% of young people have already engaged in sex.
Where are we failing as a society? What's going on?
Of course, it's a very broad, it's a broad issue because it starts with the way we have been trying to get westernized, and we are in between our African values and Western culture. We want to pick from here and pick from here, and we're only picking the negative and dropping the good things or the good values from our culture.
Because I remember like when we had years whereby being a virgin was really valuable, like really a girl, marrying as a virgin was such a beautiful thing in the society.
Yes.
But right now it's almost like it's funny with young people. Like, you don't have a boyfriend, my God, look at this one, that kind of a...
The girls are telling us that, if you are to be a virgin right now, it is not something to be proud of and to broadcast because it's, you're looking...
it's unbelievable.
Old school and you're not cool, you're not fitting into that.
My goodness.
Yeah, that age group.
Wow, but I just want to tell the girls who are out there, you keep your virginity, you stay pure because your body is your responsibility and you need to take care of it. You need to keep it for yourself, number one, before you meet that man that is going to take you down the aisle. Isn't it?
Very true. I think there are many things to gain if you don't engage in sex as a teenage. First of all, as I said, the body is still under development, and this is not the right time for you biologically to even get into reproduction. Similarly, we know that in this age you are fully engaged in school, and you're supposed to be like giving 100% of your time to your education and development. And therefore, if you deviate from that path and if you now start going the parent way or the parenthood way, then that means your education suffers, and that means your body development also is
affected.
Temporarily affected and probably even permanently affected in a way that it may affect you even in future. And therefore, there's nothing cool or nothing
trendy about sleeping around and having
early sex. There's nothing, because remember, as I said, HIV, the highest infection rate is on that age group. And that tells you how much sex and mostly even unprotected sex is going on in that early age. But as much as we want to sit here and make a lot of noise as parents, I think we also need to start reflecting on ourselves, reflecting back and looking at what where did the rain start beating us?
Yeah.
What happened that now these kids who are 12 years old, mostly, are starting to engage in sex?
Yeah.
And why are they engaging in unsafe sex? And all these kind of things. Because number one, if these kids were properly brought up,
yeah,
the chance of them getting into sex at the age of 12 and 13 and 15 would be much lower. And secondly, there is a discussion we are having this year about the introduction of sex education in school.
Right.
The new curriculum has a stronger component of sex education. And just like in many cases, Kenyans will come out very quickly to demonize anything new that comes without even taking a look at it.
Yeah.
And I personally think that the fact that most parents have neglected that role of providing their children with sex education, and sex education is broad. Shouldn't be taken into that narrow perspective of the physical, but it's very broad. Yes, includes even how to relate with the opposite sex and things like that. And therefore, we shouldn't attack this new curriculum that is coming. We should support it and see whether it could be the solution to some of these problems that we are having.
Yeah. Yes. Now, when you look at what's going on right now, when actually we consider that we are in a holiday time, and most of the time, parents, when it's holiday time, our schedules don't change. We are still going to work, coming home late, but our children are at home. When it comes to the church, what are the programs that have been set? When it comes to parents, what have we put in place to make sure when our kids are at home, they are safe and secure and doing what they need to do? What are we doing as a society? I no longer see, there are those years where in the evening you see some volleyball clubs where young people can go and play volleyball just around the villages and the neighborhoods. What is the society doing? Do we have those systems in place whereby it's holiday time, we have A, B, C, D for our young people?
Unfortunately, the volleyball you're talking about, the soccer games, the karate practice,
they're not cool anymore?
Not necessarily even cool anymore, but they have been replaced by the internet.
Okay.
I'm seeing kids 15, 12 years spending all their time on their phones, smartphones.
Yeah.
And I think most parents think that it is very cool to buy their kid a smartphone.
But it's not.
But unfortunately, what you are getting them into is really something that they were never prepared for, and you probably will never recover from as well as a parent.
Okay.
Because you're going to lose that kid.
Yeah.
First of all, they spend all the time chatting and going to websites that are probably not supposed to be for people their age. Yeah. They are learning new things, and mostly learning not necessarily new values and new virtues, but learning
damaging things.
Damaging stuff.
Yeah.
Online cyber sex is becoming very common with these adolescents. Pornography is very, very common.
And all that is online.
They are able to access it online. There is no restriction on age.
Because they just have to fill in, are you 18?
Yeah,
yes.
they just say yes.
You click yes, then
That's the end of you go and access anything.
Yeah.
And once we hand over this smartphone to these kids, we don't guide them on how to use it. We don't bother about where they will, where they'll go online.
Yeah.
And the only thing we do is to provide them with airtime.
Yeah, with data.
So, and actually most houses now are doing Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And as parents we think, now that I have done that, he will not bother me. Or
and he's been in the house. Actually one of the
sitting
things.
In the house.
But doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, they'll be doing crazy stuff. And that is where also planning will be happening. For the execution of those parties that you've heard on the media. Yeah. That's where the planning is done. They do group chat and all these things.
That's it.
And they plan and organize, and they'll do anything they want.
Yeah.
And therefore, I think there needs to be a bit of limitation on how much we give access our kids to internet. Yeah. And actually one of the fastest growing addiction is internet addiction. And with the young men, it's gaming and gambling addiction.
That is what is growing very fast as
that
addictions.
That is what is growing very fast among the people below the age of 24. And that tells you, are there any values from these two? There are no values. And once you get an addiction is an illness. It's very difficult to get out of it. Yeah. You spend now all your time and money on that addiction that you have, and you, of course it takes away the money that you would have used for personal development, or the time that you'd have used for your studies, your research, your homework, everything. You know, it takes away all that time, and that, therefore it will affect overall your performance, even in school or in college.
Now, when I look at for example, the church, and when I say the church, I mean generally, or any religious institution out there, mostly we do have things that we plan, but mostly is for a day or 2 or 3. But then the holiday is around 2 months or even more.
Secular,
So how do we get a solution to make sure, okay, they've been to a youth thing for 3 days? What are the things being taught there? Are they enough to sustain this child for the rest of the 2 months being, you know, emotionally stable, physically responsible?
Joyce, I'd like to say 2 things. First of all, having those two or 3 days events is important. Because if they are taught the right things, it can sustain them for a long time. And the other thing is the church events. There is a trend that most of these church events that they go to is not now meeting their needs as young kids.
Why?
If you're cool, you most likely will go to that church event more because you've been pushed by your parents.
Okay, not because
it's
you
no
are
longer
attracted
popular.
to
It's no longer, you know, as unfortunately as you know, now we get more westernized, religion is becoming lesser attractive with the younger people, and therefore most of them come physically, but they don't come mentally. So they'll be there, and they will not take anything home
because they just came to please their parents.
Yes. The other issue I want to talk about there is there are programs. For example, we run a youth empowerment program called PDOS, and we try to empower these young people and try to, you know, by trying to help them understand the challenges of adolescent and how to live with it, and empowering them so that they can be able to start growing into responsible adults. We have a very comprehensive program where we are doing all these, our psychologists are working with them on addiction, on sex, on relationship, on self-esteem issues, on drug and drug abuse, and all these things. Unfortunately, parents are not willing to send their kids to learn these things.
Why?
Parents are not willing
to pay
or 200 shillings, 500 shillings a day
only
to
200
get
shillings a
their
day.
kids' education, which is actually education that they should have been providing to this kid for all these years. And therefore, you find that even if those programs are there, it's very difficult to get kids to pay for them, even just to pay, come have their own lunch. And
so are we as parents then neglecting our responsibility to provide, you know, good education for our young
Probably, I tend to think, first of all, if you look at the parents, if you look at us, the parents, if you look at our values.
Okay, that's where it begins.
That's where it begins. I mean, how do you pay for somebody to go get good training when you have no values yourself?
By the way, that's quite
you cannot
something.
invest, yes. But they can be able to invest on a smartphone, 20,000 shillings, 30,000 shillings. And they give them. They can be able to go and buy clothes for them.
So you're telling us we need to really, as parents, embrace the values first.
Exactly.
Because I mean, you're sitting somewhere in the club the whole night, coming home drunk. In the morning, you don't even care. As long as the child is at home, I think we are good.
And they say, I provide because they had food and the rent is paid. That is not parenting.
It's not.
That is not parenting. And I think that's why we need to know one thing. Kids learn a lot from their parents, not by what you tell them, by what you do.
Okay.
So unless, you know, most parents say, you know, I'll tell them, I told them, it is wrong to do this, it's wrong to abuse drugs, it's wrong to do this, you know, to have this and all that. But they learn from what they see you do.
Okay.
From the age of 4 and above, kids pick
and what is happening in the home.
And now, unfortunately, as I said, the statistics show that we have the highest divorce rate, I think, in Africa.
That actually worries
and we, not just that, but we have a very high rate of dysfunctional families and marriages. Yes, and therefore kids are also growing in that toxic environment, if I can borrow that word from you, where they don't learn any values and they spend a lot of time saying a lot of negative stuff. So they end up accumulating a lot of this stuff, a lot of stress, a lot of psychological trauma, And this will come back to haunt them when they grow, when they get, into adolescent, late adolescent and into marriage. The kind of relationship they develop, how they deal with their partners. And generally, it will
the whole person.
Yeah, it will be the whole person, their moral values.
Now, I've seen still here in Kenya, when you mention about the parents and generally like everybody, the way we are looking at value nowadays is different from how it was in the 80s and the 70s and back then. Because we're at a time where if you just ask a young girl what they would like to be in life or the kind of man they would like to settle with as a husband. Have you had those topics yourself where they will say, I want a man who is driving this and this, I don't. So I think I'm trying to understand what you're saying. It seems then, even though the girl is not pregnant, already the money motivation and the drive for a good life, we are not teaching our kids to work hard. We're not teaching them to go to school, get your degree, get your diploma, do it yourself.
In our work, I unfortunately one day happened to see a letter written by a girl aged 9. Yes, and she was describing how she hoped that she will be married by a Muzungu.
Okay.
And the kind of life that she will get.
Yeah.
And every time I look at young people who are getting into relationship, and when they start discussing what they want from the opposite sex, I always reflect back on that letter. You will be going to look for a partner with that kind of twisted mindset.
And expectations that.
And expectations, and unfortunately, with not just the internet, also the media, the culture that is being sold through the soaps and through all these programs is a materialistic culture, where there is no values.
There's no working hard.
And you can get rich for a girl by getting married by a sponsor. So all you need to do is just work on your physical.
And the guy will come.
And the guy now knows that to get rich is just spend a few or 1,000 or a few thousand shillings on betting farms, and you get 220 million shillings. And unfortunately, the statistics are there to show us that is not what will happen to you.
Exactly.
It is the opposite. You will not get that rich guy.
Because
all those guys who will be thinking is a rich guy, they'll come use you and go.
Exactly.
And the guy betting all his money, some of them in their school fees, will not earn anything from that betting, because statistics show that the betting firm make profit. It is not the people betting who make profit.
It's a business. So
only one lucky person gets a few million shillings. The rest of us, we donate to this guy and to the betting firm. And therefore, it's very sad that I think the future of the institution of marriage
is at stake.
And I don't know what will happen to our kids. We need to think about it more seriously.
Wow. And I just want to encourage everyone watching us right there that there is hope. I believe there is hope, and I believe if we do take responsible actions now and start giving solutions, people who are in the church, responsible men and women of God, please go to the basics of families and find out what you can do. Get youth groups to discuss these things. Get the young people to internalize the values of life and the importance of it, because sometimes we really don't realize that these values are good for us. If like now when you're talking about the materialistic kind of a lifestyle, when a young girl somewhere in Kajiado or somewhere in the Maasai land where there is high rate of pregnancy, the reason why they would be possibly be sleeping with an older man is because they are looking for financial comfort. So the issue of materialistic is not just to the urbanized. Even those who are down there in the villages, they're also looking for, some money. There is always a money aspect with this whole thing.
Of course, actually, you look at the low income, where poverty, now you're driven to materialism by poverty. And these girls I told you in the slums who are selling, or forced by their parents, or even selling by their own will, are selling themselves as low as 100 shillings.
My God.
Yes, as low as 50 shillings, as low as 200 shillings. And that is their materialism.
Because that's to them,
that's what
good money.
200 shillings is a lot of money. They'll live with it for a day or 2 or 3 days.
You know.
And then you have now this other class of the middle class mostly, and where the girls look at now, can I be able to get a man who drives a better car than my father, who will give me a better life than, you know. So all of us are materialistic, but you know, it depends on your scale. So there's somebody who is looking for 200 shillings. And there's another girl who says, you know, I can't sleep with a man without 5,000 shillings.
And it's the same mentality.
The same mentality. You know, the bottom line is no values.
Yeah.
And you just equating your body to a few shillings.
You know, I would like to actually challenge the people out there. The women who are in the society, people who are big names in the society, people who have made it, like a teacher in a primary school, maybe a teacher in a high school, a nurse, a doctor, you know, an engineer, a carpenter, people who have worked hard to be where they are. I think the challenge is to us to go back and educate these young people. That money that you're looking for, it is available, but this is the way to find it. Sleeping with somebody for 100 shillings, you cannot equate it to going to school, taking care of yourself, getting your certificate, getting your degree, get a diploma, get a job, get a skill, because that is the right way to get money. And number two, I believe when we approach it this way, then you don't have these consequences of suicide and, you know, stress and
all these problems. Actually, this week I saw someone on Facebook saying that her role model is Vera Sidika.
Okay.
And I was very sad. You know, you can't believe that somebody who is saying she's educated, she has a degree, and she should be very busy looking for a job and trying to build her professional life. He's saying that her role model is
the person saying this is an educated person.
This is an educated person saying her role model is Vera Sidika. So what she wished to be is
her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And unfortunately, she captures the mind of many young ladies.
Oh, she did?
Yes, that is the mindset of a lot of young ladies. So when you talk about mentors and role models, we have the wrong ones.
We do have
the
wrong
girls
ones.
And the young boys have the wrong role models.
Because that is what they are seeing on social media.
Because that's what
is
they
on
see.
TV.
They are online all the time. So they are more exposed to what this kind of rot, you know, where Vera Sidika is driving this type of a car and all this and all that. But they are not exposed to to information about this young person or this parent in their neighborhood, this doctor in their neighborhood who went through the normal way without shortcuts and made it in life, and they're having a comfortable life. We don't sell those role models anymore.
I think we should.
We don't sell them. And unfortunately also, we don't have programs that promote, in terms of society, community programs that promote those role models.
I think it is high time to do that.
Now, the role models
the socialites are the
ones
role
they
models.
see on the internet and on the media, unfortunately.
And you know, that is actually a fake kind of something to look up to.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, I believe God has created every young person with a purpose. And the purpose that God has put in you is what is going to bring all these things that you need. For example, maybe you have a gift in you, you have a talent, right?
Yes.
And when you follow up these things, the money will come. When you bring out your gift, whatever you're looking for in life will come out. Yes. And you can become that
person that you want to be.
Yeah.
Of course, we have this instant, we the culture quick. Where you get rich quick, get things, solve things very quickly. We have the culture of patience and working things through the right way is getting very unpopular, especially with young people. But of course, for example, even with the programs, for example, that we have, the youth empowerment program that we run, we identify young people's talents and we help nurture them. So for example, starting this December, our youth empowerment program will be run by a lady who is finishing her exam, who finished actually her exam this week. She'll be running that program. Why we are saying she'll be running that program is because we've been mentoring her and supporting her to become a responsible person, and she has shown the will, the talent and the passion to do it. So what you are doing is to give her the mentorship, the support, and everything that she needs, and therefore she'll be able to start her career as early as just after Form 4.
And I think that is what every organization exactly what we should be doing.
Yes.
There should be a responsible mother, a responsible uncle, a responsible whoever, the next door, who can be able to take a child by the hand and walk with them, showing them the importance of walking in the right paths of life. And being there, because I think also we get too busy, we don't listen to them, we get too busy, we don't know what is going on, and we really don't care about other people's business.
Exactly. And I'm sure other organizations in the church should be able to start selling this, mentorship. We need for the mentors, we need, role models. And this should be promoted as one of the best ways of letting these young people know that, you can make it in life. But through hard work and through doing things
the right way.
And that shortcuts, and I think we are not selling that enough. Shortcuts have consequences. We need also, like in the media, we need to sell a lot of these stories of shortcuts and their consequences. So that we, the young people also being able to, should be exposed in a balanced way to the shortcuts of, the negative consequences of the shortcuts that they are taking. And also they should be able to be given the positive impacts of doing things the right way, so that they can choose. Because at the end of the day, anyone above 18 is an adult, and they make their own decisions. So we can only empower them with the right information.
We can. And I believe we have the right information with us, and it's time for us not to withhold what we have been given, the knowledge that we have, and whatever we've learned through life, because most of us have made mistakes. And through those mistakes, we are able to, relate to the young girls and the young boys, and be able to tell them, if you keep on doing what you're doing, you're going to end up here, because I was there and this happened and this is where I am. Was it not for the hand of God, I may not be where I am. That is the kind of conversation that should be going on. Because I think also in our society, we have people who are closed up. You don't want to share your failures. You don't want to share what you have been through. You don't want to share the mistakes that you have made. So we kind of offer these perfection kind of a model that you don't make mistakes, and everything is gonna be okay. We should be able to work with them and show them, if you keep on chatting with this boy the way you're doing, it ends to this, and if it ends to this, it's gonna be a mess. If you keep on touchy with this young person, one kiss will lead to,
and there will be
sexual
these consequences, and you should be able to tell them and list the consequences. And one thing I also wanted to add is, we are not saying that it is all doom and gloom. There is hope.
Good.
And one of the things I would like to encourage is, for us parents, I'm sure we all say how busy we are and how demanding work is, and how
looking for money.
How we are doing this because of the kids, so that you can take them to the best schools and give them the best life. Neglecting your parental responsibility, especially love and affection to your child, is not being a responsible parent. Sending material things, giving them money and material things is not parenting. And
I think that we have been told,
we have been told by these young people that they value more spending time with you, your affection, your time, your guidance, more than
the gadgets,
the material things you're buying. And I want to tell parents, you cannot buy love, you cannot buy yes, you cannot buy it. So you have to spend time with them. You have, as I'm saying, all is not lost. We need to correct. I'm sure most of us as parents have been into this, rut where we just running after money and career and all that, and forgetting about parenting. It's very easy for us to just purposely say that we are now going to dedicate a certain amount of time to our families and to our children. And let's not say that spending valuable time with your children is going with them to that pub and having your machoma and then bouncing on the gospel. You need to spend quality time together
as a
family, not
family,
in a bar setting and all that. And lastly, we need to also remember that as parents, the money that you're spending on them is probably going to the wrong places. Okay. So the money you're spending on their phone and on the internet is probably leading them more to pornography, cyber sex, and gaming and gambling, more than helping to build them. At the end of the day, the person who will pay the consequences is you, the parent, because once they don't, they get into these problems, you will be the one to take them out. And I see parents coming to my organization with kids who are addicted or young people who are addicted, and I can tell you the look on their face. It's not good. It's not what you want to do. No. So please act now. Yeah. Or no, you'll have to come to me later with that face. Sorry, face, yes.
Now, parents, you're watching out there, it is time you take responsibility as a parent. Spend time with your children. And by spending time, it is not going in a bar, having your beer and nyama choma when your children are going on the bouncing castle and the slides. It is spending good quality time with them in the right places. Yes. Because some of these places we take our children, it is okay. Some places are okay, like the church, but also that is not spending time with them. Because you just go to church, you hear the sermon, you go back home. So most of the time, spend good time with your kids in an environment that communicates to them we are spending time, an environment that makes them feel appreciated, loved, like you have time to listen to them, do homework with them, spend time with them. And young people who are listening to us today, I just want to encourage you, take responsibility. You may not have the right adults around you, but you can reach out. It is good to reach out. When you go on the internet, don't look for people who are just going to listen to you, because there's so many, but look at people who are responsible, people who are good, people who can take you somewhere. You can reach out to us, write us here at Toxic Show, you can text us, you can call us, the numbers are on the screen, you can communicate to us on our Facebook page or Twitter. We are listening and we want to help you going forward, because teenage pregnancy has to come to an end. Yes. We cannot have a generation of young people who don't have a future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us. It was a great topic that we had, and I believe you're going to have this conversation again. These are the conversations that shouldn't stop. Yes. They should keep on going.
Yes. Yeah. The media should not take off or just stop discussing this, because it's no longer in the trending.
A topic.
Yeah, we need to continue discussing it.
Yes.
I encourage you to discuss it in December, in January. And
I can assure you, here at the Toxic Show, we're going to take our time to discuss concerning teenage pregnancy, give you more solutions, talk to our young people, get to hear from them and what is going on and why are they doing the things that they're doing, and how can we help as grown-ups, how can we help as a society, because it is our responsibility to be able to nurture them into, responsible adults. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was a blessed time to have you on board. My name is Joyce W. Charles. God bless you.